Welcome to the Nova Hoopcast. We're back after the holidays. We'll talk about holiday tournament basketball in a few minutes. We're here at Herndon High School, another traditional power and great venue in Northern Virginia. So earlier this morning we had a chance to speak with Kevin Quinlan, who's in his first year here at Herndon as the head coach. So why don't we go ahead and air that interview, and then we'll get back to some recaps after that. Here's that video from Kevin Quinlan. Okay, Kevin and Brian here with Coach Kevin Quinlan at Herndon High School. We're at another historic venue. Kevin, we've been at Wakefield, we've been at Heritage. We've been lucky this year to be at some real historic gyms, and this is certainly another one. What's it like coaching in a historic gym with so much tradition like Herndon High School?
It's been a blast. The Nest is a great place to coach and build a program. My first game at Edison was actually here back about 12 years ago. And as soon as we played in the gym, I kind of fell in love with the gym as a coach from another program.
Yeah. I've got a lot of memories here. The good memories really stand out because there weren't that many of them. When you got a win here, it was kind of a big deal. I don't know what, as a head coach, I don't know what my career record is in here. It's probably a losing record because it was a tough place to play.
We all have memories. I have a memory of being the Marshall coach and scrimmaging here, and it was like a full house. And I was like, it's a scrimmage. But kids were here, and they were excited about the program. So a very special place. My wife's family went here to school and have been around the area for a long time. So happy to be here as well. You mentioned Edison, Coach. Tell us a little bit about where you've been coaching for the people who are new to you and might not know your background.
Okay, I'll go backwards in time.
Okay.
So I was hired here last summer at Herndon High School. Very excited to be here. Proud to be the head coach of the Hornets. Before that, for 2 years, I was at Johns Hopkins as an assistant coach under Josh Leffler. And I was still teaching at a school in Howard County, Maryland, where I'd been the head coach for 7 years prior to that. It's called Glen Elk Country School. And then prior to that, for 3 years, I was the head coach at Thomas Edison over in Alexandria, Virginia. Before that, I was an assistant coach at T.C. Williams with Ivan Thomas. And before that, I was an assistant coach with Dwayne Simpkins at Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C.
Awesome. So you've been around a lot of good coaches, a lot of different programs, college, publics, privates. I'm sure you've taken a little bit from all of those places. What are you trying to bring to Herndon basketball?
I try to pick and choose the best drills, sets, ideas for the program, and I kind of have a potpourri of ideas that I've brought from all those coaches that I've worked under. I tend to be a little bit of a student of the game. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of books. I watch DVDs. I observe practices. So my main thing is I feel like I'm a defensive-minded coach, so we work a lot on defense, man-to-man defense in the half court. I think championships are won kind of from the NBA arc to the rim. So we spend a lot of time working on that, and there's all sorts of fundamentals involved with that. And then I really like to see guys I admire, like a Tony Bennett, who has players stay for a few years in his program. And I like to see the young guys develop not only their physical bodies, but also their basketball skills, and also just their kind of character as young men.
Right.
So, Coach, you're 5-4 this year, correct?
6-4.
6-4.
Come on, man.
Don't take that
Short.
win. Big win over Chantilly the other night. Tell us a little bit about your group this year and some of your seniors.
Okay, the group's been a really fun group. I'd say an eclectic mix of personalities and skill sets, but they all come together nicely. We have 2 seniors of note right now. Lysander Renstrom, who's been around forever. People say
he has been around forever.
I think he's been in high school for 7 years, but he's in his 4th year.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he a graduate senior or something, or a 5th-year senior? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's done really well for us. He's a phenomenal athlete, a guy that all of our kids really love Herndon. So they're very passionate about the school and the school community. He's had a really good season for us, does a little bit of everything. He's a real strong defender, and he shoots the ball well. He's actually, his favorite skill of mine is passing the basketball. When he sets his mind to it, he really sets teammates up very well. We also have a starter, Quentin Hart, who is a guard, a very shifty guard, who also is a good shooter. He can score in bunches. Also a very good defender, and just a phenomenal leader. Both boys are captains. We have a football player and all-district player, Jordan Owen, who comes off the bench for us. And we also have a guy named Mike Horgan, who transferred in from another school in the off season, and he's given us good minutes too. Great.
Coach, he's not as old as I am, but you've got an old guy on the bench, Drew Murphy, who's been a head coach at McLean and Centerville, and we both coached against him back in the day. I assume having someone who's been in the county for a long time sitting next to you is a good thing for you as in your first year here at Herndon.
It's a huge thing. It's been a huge benefit for me, and I'd like to thank his wife for allowing him to come. And
All coaches' wives.
Yes.
thank them all. He's been phenomenal because he's been in our shoes and in our seat. He's thought about all these things in lonely hours, about how to reach guys and adjustments to make. And it's been a huge, huge benefit having him on the bench. And I bounce ideas off him constantly, not only during games, but during practice, and then, just by text messages and phone calls. And he's a very reasonable guy. He's a very smart guy, and he's been a huge benefit.
I hope you don't bounce those ideas off him during school hours. And you're teaching science, and I think he's the special ed department chair, so I'm sure it's as soon as the end of school.
No, I'm pretty sure it's all day long.
But an occasional text message, but he has a very, very busy job, and I'm teaching geosystems and geospatial analysis, so we're both very busy.
Gotcha.
Coach, I have a question, because you were at Edison, you leave the area, you go to Maryland, then you come back. What are your thoughts about this area of Northern Virginia basketball now that you were out of it for a while and you came back? What is it? Is there a difference than what you're used to in Maryland, or what would you say about basketball here?
Yeah.
I didn't say it the right way, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say.
No, you said it really well. I really like it.
Yeah.
And when I was in Baltimore, I would still pay attention, through the Washington Post, through videos and podcasts and things like that. I think it's really high quality basketball. And it's been fun to come back and get reacquainted with it just through scouting and watching film and seeing games live. I think the coaching is really strong, and I think the players are really good, a lot of talent. It's exciting to be back. I'd say it's improved in leaps and bounds over the past 10 or 12 years across the board. Yeah, it's very strong basketball.
Right. Well, we've got two community questions to ask you. I know Kevin has one
I
ready,
got
but
one.
before he gets to
I got
that,
one, always standard.
Before we went on air, we were reminiscing about some of the names up on the wall here. This is a real community school.
It is.
I assume, just in the time since you were hired here, you've had a lot of the old heads, as Tony Bentley calls them, down in Arlington, from Herndon come out and talk to you, maybe give you their 2 cents worth about how you should run things. Have you met a lot of the community members in your time here?
I have met quite a few. I try to send out text messages with pictures of the boys and quotes and things like that from time to time. So I think I have 40 Hornet alumni on my list, and I'd like to add to that. So if anybody's watching, they would like to get involved with that, please send me your number.
And you do have a lot of good alumni. We were looking on the wall. I know Coach Gary Hall put a lot of names and jerseys on the wall, and it's a great group, a great history of basketball here for sure.
It is, and they're super excited when I send out a text message.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Guys in person, they're very excited to be involved in the school and in the basketball program, and they get to know the guys in the program currently.
Certainly one of the cool things about coaching that we know is when you keep in touch with the guys over the years and see how they're doing out there in the real world, and hopefully they take some of what they learned from you as a player or learn from Coach Hall as a player and apply it later on in life. So, Kevin, fire away.
I always need to know if we leave here, where do we need to eat? Or if we come to a game on a Tuesday or Friday night, where would we need to eat before the game here in Herndon that I wouldn't get somewhere else?
Boy, that is a good question.
Because I grew up around here. I have some answers too, but I want to hear what you have to say.
I am new to the area, and I do like cuisine, so I ask the same question to folks around here. I have a spot that I like to go drink coffee, so I'm going to start with that. It's the Green Lizard
Don't know
bicycle
that.
shop. It's right in downtown Herndon. The owners have been wonderful to me. As soon as I got the job, they embraced me, and they had delicious coffee that's brought in from Alaska.
Who knew?
It's very,
Coach Quinlan.
very
posh. There you go.
Very, very good. I tend to like Mediterranean food.
All right.
The closest one to where I live is Akaba.
Kava.
Which is a little bit of a standard
My wife would agree with
restaurant,
the Kava.
but the food is very good there.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and recommend that.
Okay.
Kevin, is Jimmy's closed? or
Jimmy's Old
closing?
Town Tavern. I
Oh.
don't know if I haven't been there a long time. But I was thinking for breakfast, Virginia Kitchen. If you want to get your calories on,
right.
Virginia Kitchen is always a good one. You know, maybe on a weekend, Jimmy's Old Town Tavern is a good one. We're going to roll with that, and I think that's a good way to end
Yes,
the interview.
absolutely.
I want to thank Coach Quinlan for his time. You know, we're always here on a Sunday and cold, you know, early in the morning. So thank you for getting up. And,
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you for meeting us here and for the interview. And we just wish you a lot of luck coming back here to the Hornets' Nest. I know I had the chance to see you guys play, and I think you guys are heading in the right direction. So we just want to say good luck.
Thank you. I'm excited
Thanks,
about
Coach.
the future. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, good stuff from Coach Quinlan. Really a cool place to coach. We didn't mention earlier, the school's undergoing renovation, so they're going to have, when the renovation's done, there's going to be bleachers, I guess, behind the baskets.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. It'll look like, those of you who have been at West Springfield, I think it'll look like that gym. I like having bleachers behind the basket in the smaller gyms. It's a little different feel. But great tradition here at Herndon.
And I hope they don't have bleachers like Wakefield,
Arlington County.
Arlington County. Those coaches out there know what we're talking about. But yeah, I think it'll be a great place. It's always been an awesome place to watch a game, and having fans behind both baskets will add to it as well.
Right, cool. So, like we said, we're just about into district play in most districts, but we did have a lot of holiday tournament
And we
basketball.
tried to put something out earlier. Brian called from Florida, and we tried to FaceTime and record the FaceTime, but it didn't quite work.
Those of you techies, I did quite a bit of research. I guess there's issues with FaceTime audio when you try to record it. So feel free to give us some feedback on Twitter.
Please.
But I did quite a bit of research.
Yeah, it's cool. You were on
We
the
weren't
beach.
the only ones that had trouble doing that.
You were on the beach, and we were going to have this conversation
Yes.
about holiday tournaments,
Yeah.
but we're going to catch up now.
All right.
Just a quick recap, Brian, not to belabor it too much, but we talked about the 5 tournaments in our area being Lake Braddock, and that was won by Oakton. They beat a good Stonebridge team.
Interesting there. I had seen them, sorry to cut you off so
That's
early.
all right.
I had seen Oakton play like Braddock like right before the tournament, and Braddock beat them like 110-63 or something like that. So really interesting result to see Oakton come back and win that tournament.
And I think Oakton's better than people think.
Yeah.
Garrett Johnson, great player, left to go to private school,
Right.
and I think people had question marks, but still a lot of talent at Oakton, and Coach Brooks doing a great
I
job.
think Max Wilson was the MVP.
Max
that
Wilson,
tournament.
thank you. He did win that MVP, and Stonebridge did well by getting to the final. The Wakefield tournament was won by South County. They beat Wakefield 70-55, and we really talk about South County as the preeminent team in Northern Virginia. I think that continues. They're still undefeated. They're loaded. They keep coming at you, and I think they're hitting it all cylinders.
The preeminent team.
Preeminent. I can't spell it, but I can say it. I had to think about that in my
Yeah,
mind.
they're rolling. They're rolling.
The Mount Vernon tournament was won by Oxon Hill from PG County. They beat Dominion. And I think Dominion, like Stonebridge, and getting to the final is a very good thing for them. A lot of seniors at Dominion. They lose 72-61. The Falls Church tournament, which I spent a whole day at, I tweeted out a lot, was won by Annandale. They beat Forest Park. 2 teams I did see play. I really enjoyed watching them both play. And we're going to talk about the MVP of that tournament, John Awoke, in a couple minutes. And then finally, a Westfield tournament was won by Yorktown. They beat a good Potomac School in McLean, 66-59. And I think, I was one to question Yorktown, saying, hey, have they played anyone good? Well, Potomac School is a good team, and they stay undefeated, so a very good win for them as well.
Yeah, definitely one they can hang their hat on. And for those haters who say they haven't played a strong schedule, well, now they beat the Potomac Schools. That's a legit win, and they're rolling. We'll talk more about them in just a minute.
All right. Other big winners outside the area, you have Fairfax winning in Florida. You were there on the beach, so you guys go 3-0 down in Florida. Congratulations. Freedom South Riding goes to Martinsburg, West Virginia. Martinsburg, West Virginia, I've talked about that part of, not really in our area, but west of Loudoun County, and Martinsburg can play. They lost in the state finals last year. I do think they lost a lot of people, but to go into that area, the Panhandle area of West Virginia, they call it with Jefferson County and Martinsburg and Musselman and Hedgesville. Very good teams, very good wins for Freedom South Riding. Edison and Potomac both went to the Governor's Challenge and went 2-0. And last but not least, Patriot goes to Pennsylvania and wins both games. There's other teams that went outside
Right.
the area, but those are just winners of note.
Right. And there's been some basketball since then, a couple games of note from Friday night. Centerville beat Fairfax 52-49. Good game.
Good win. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, here's what you need to know. Mackay Washington had 30 and 15, so he was a man. There's plenty of other things I could say, but I think that's the main thing right there is he kind of had his way all
And
night
Fairfax
long.
was 10-1, I think, coming into the game. Something like that. I know one loss.
8-1.
8-1.
Yeah,
Okay.
So 8-2 now. And I would say, we were talking beforehand, this is kind of a theme we talked about in earlier episodes. If Chris Kuzemka was playing now, imagine what Centerville would be. But on the flip side of that, we've talked about transfers. Mackay Washington and Avery Ford are both transfers. So if they hadn't transferred it, but it's kind of part of the climate landscape
I
of high school
can't
basketball.
think of a team that's been successful that doesn't have at least one transfer.
Right.
It's the landscape of where
Yeah.
we are, not good or bad.
Right.
It's just kind of where we are.
So here's a result that I was a little bit surprised by. Speaking about Yorktown, they beat Madison by like 35. And again, their style of play is such that they're going to have some big margins of victory and put a lot of points on the board. But those of us around the area know that Coach Roller usually does a good job of controlling pace.
Yeah, trying to take away the strength of other teams. Sure.
That was a huge, a surprise to me was the margin of victory. Freedom over Champ. Loudoun County, just really interesting to watch. I think it's going to be a lot of teams just kind of going back and forth this year.
And Champ's been doing a lot of traveling out of
Yeah.
the area. They've been going to do these one-day showcases.
Right.
They did go down to the beach at Christmas and beat a good Maury team, and I think beat a good Lake Braddock team, and then they played yesterday
Right.
Out of the area as well. So Champ, if you pay attention to state rankings, were ranked number 2 at the time when they played at home versus Freedom South Riding. But for those who don't know that, those schools are the only 2 schools right now in that area, and that's a huge rivalry.
Right.
Big gym with a big crowd.
Yeah. Lake Braddock over Hayfield, that's somewhat of a rivalry game
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
South County over Oakton, which I think was about a 10-point game. And you mentioned Oakton is another one of those teams that's a dangerous team coming off the tournament victory, the tournament championship. And then Woodson over Annandale in overtime. And that's a good segue into our next segment. Annandale.
Well, let me say something about Woodson. I would put Woodson in the same category maybe as an Oakton, better than people think. They don't have any huge name guys. I know their quarterback is a good player down low and gets like double-doubles
Right.
Or almost double-doubles a lot. But that's a good win for
Yeah.
Woodson. So we mentioned, and we talked to Coach Quinlan earlier, a lot of teams in our area right now that are 6-4, 7-3, that are solid.
Right.
Only 2 undefeated teams, but a lot of solid teams, and be curious to see who gets better.
Yeah, no question. So we talked about Annandale.
Yes.
They've got a really good freshman who was the MVP of the Falls Church Tournament. You had a chance to see him play.
I did.
Which kind of leads you into kind of a youth movement in the
Yeah,
area.
I think there is a youth movement, and please chime in because you've seen some of these guys play as well. But John Awoke, a freshman at Annandale, was the MVP of the Falls Church Tournament. Point guard with size and IQ. Tell me, you've seen him play as well. What do you think of him?
Oh, I like him. I saw him against Lee early on. I will see him firsthand on Tuesday night.
Oh, wow.
Fairfax plays Annandale. But no, I agree.
He doesn't look like a freshman.
No, he doesn't, and pretty savvy and quick and athletic. I think a well-rounded player as well. He's just going to get better and better, and he's got some good young kids around him too. That if they stay together, Annandale's got a chance.
They definitely do. And when we get into sophomores, I'm gonna talk about one of his teammates. Another freshman in Loudoun County is Alex Bachman from Freedom South Riding, getting a lot of minutes for Freedom. Had an 18-point game when they went to their tournament in West Virginia. He can do a little bit of everything, but
Right.
It's great to see a freshman. And he's another kid who has the size and doesn't really look like a freshman.
Right.
And then the last freshman of note is also from Loudoun County, from Heritage High School, is Blake Rohrer. He's had a bunch of double-digit scoring outings, but had 19 in a loss to Dominion the other night. Very fast, very athletic, and it looks like he belongs right away, which is not what you see from freshmen. That's atypical.
We got some sophomores too.
We do. The first one I saw play over at Falls Church, his name is Kenyana Lee. He's a little point guard for Forest Park. Fast, tough, kind of outspoken, has a little edge to him, but really dominated the game, hit a lot of tough shots in the game I saw him play against Herndon. That was probably one of the better games I saw all Christmas.
Right.
But I really like him, and I got a chance to talk to our friend Coach Mack, who really likes him as well. Two sophomores from South Lakes, Kyle Tang and Sandy Cooley. Kids who, maybe you don't pay attention when you're scouting them, but can play, are young, they're fast, they're aggressive, both on offense and defense, and I think down the road would be very good players. And then you mentioned some other good players in Annandale. Manny Tucker, 6'7" forward from Annandale, big lefty who can finish. And then two last sophomores one from Fairfax, one from Prince William. You've got Bo Kumlang,
Right.
and he's a CK. That's a coach's kid. Smart, good instincts. He had 23 versus West Springfield. And then another CK, Kyle Henry from Potomac, who had a couple of good games over the break, 14 versus Oakdale, and then earlier he had 15 against Forest Park. So some freshmen and sophomore that I've seen, probably missed some, probably actually know we've missed some.
Yeah.
And if any come to mind, please chime in, and I know we've missed some, but those are guys that over the break I saw as being big contributors to their teams.
And two comments. I think it's fun watching those CKs play. Is that your term, or is that,
I guess.
should I have known
I was
that
thinking
one?
like PKs, like a pastor's kid, and I'm thinking a coach's kid. I got a CK.
Yeah,
I got
you
a
do.
CK. He's not
You do.
playing this year,
Yeah.
but I would say he's in that role for sure.
Yeah, Bo Kubling takes on some of the personality of his dad. He's kind of a tough, hard-nosed kid, but he can score the ball a little bit. He's not real big, and originally when I first saw him play, I thought, was he a traditional point guard, but he can put the ball in the basket a little bit too, as evidenced by that 23. And I haven't seen Kyle on a replay, but we might have a chance to speak to his dad, hopefully sometime soon.
And I think that's the third son that he's coached.
Yeah.
So that's interesting too, if we ever get a chance to go down to Potomac.
My other thought, and maybe this is just a little tease, there might be an opportunity for us to give these young kids a chance to showcase their abilities after the season's over.
That's right.
Related to the Nova Challenge, so stay tuned. I don't know if we want to share any more.
We can talk a little bit about it.
Right.
There's a new rule in this VHSL that we want to verify first that will allow us to have an underclassmen game, hopefully this year at the Nova Challenge, and we're working on that. But I think that'll be, like you said, a great opportunity to see some of these younger guys play, whereas before they had to wait till their seniors, and I think that might help recruiting as well, which is kind of good. Really what we're all about.
Right. So you want to get in? We did ask for some feedback,
we did.
some
We were
ideas
bored
from
over
our
the break.
fans. So first one.
So these are comments that we got?
Comments we got through social media.
Suggestions, okay.
And hopefully she doesn't mind me using her name, Almeda Radford, who's Jordan Radford's mother.
Yes.
Who also works in public education, but that's a story for another time. We appreciate your service in the public schools, Ms. Radford. She did ask about the shot clock, which we've talked about before. So I guess we can talk about it again. It seems that you never see anybody, rarely do you see people on social media say, we don't need the shot clock. Everybody that's on social media wants to see a shot clock. What are your thoughts? And then maybe I'll share.
Well, I'm going to give you, put on my athletic director hat. I want to know who's running the shot clock, okay? Because we barely have enough people to do the clock.
Right.
Okay? So
and they struggle with it sometimes.
So yeah, you have two options. One, you get an ECO, electronic clock operator. You pay someone to do it, but I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times they don't know how to work the clock because it's a clock maybe they haven't used before. Okay?
Right.
So you're going to ask them or hire someone else to do it, or your other option is to have maybe a manager, maybe a parent. These people are not trained to do the clock in general. You're going to ask them to do another clock and when to start it and when not to stop it. I think, of course, anything can work and change is hard, but I think just the functionality of it is going to be difficult when you start it. I just don't see the money being there to put in the shot clock, because you need to have a shot clock in every building, and then the actual people who are going to do clock, I don't think they're available and knowledgeable yet.
All good points. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to come across as anti-shot clock, but I'm not. However, everybody says how it'll improve the game. Like I've been coaching high school basketball for a long time in this area, and I don't think we're putting a bad product on the floor. I think it's good. I don't see teams. You used to see teams back in the day stand up there and stall and hold the ball. I don't see that. I mean, every now and then at the end of a game when you have a
Pause.
lead.
I'm going to have Coach Quinlan wave his arm a little bit. I'm worried about that. Yeah.
Wave your arms, Coach. Wave your arms. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
There we go.
cut out.
I'm actually going to ask for a thumbs up or thumbs down from him in a second with
Okay.
regard to shot clock. But so I don't see where the game is this terrible game that we need to fix. So when people say it'll make the game better, I think actually sometimes when you have a shot clock, I don't know that it helps offense because I've said this to you before. Everybody, they try to run offense for a while, then they run up and set a high ball screen with, whatever, 5 seconds left in the shot clock, and then you just see that every time. So, again, I'd like to coach with a shot clock and see what it's like. I've never done it. I don't think I've ever done
I'm
it.
guessing that some of the people who want the shot clock are frustrated with teams like near end of a quarter, near
Yeah.
end of a game, kind
Right.
of holding the ball, or they're up and they just want to maintain possession. But I'm telling you, from somebody who coached some teams that were underdogs for a couple of years when I was at Marshall, we used that to
Oh,
our
yeah.
advantage.
Right.
It was a weapon we had. I mean, if I'm going to play a TC who's up and down the floor and I can't keep up with them, then I'm going to control tempo.
Right.
And I'm going to try to, if I have a good enough guard, try to run what we want to run.
Right.
And I think that's an advantage that you're taking away and forcing maybe the better teams to have the advantage in that situation.
Yeah. So my only other thought is that people say, well, they have in the NBA, they have in college. We have to prepare our kids. And if you are a regular watcher, you've probably heard me say this. Like the majority of our kids don't play in college, and very few go on and play professionally. And the ones that do, I don't feel like they're at this huge disadvantage when they go to college because they didn't have a shot clock. So I don't know. I don't buy that argument. Okay, so Coach Quinlan, you're not going to speak because you're not on camera right now, but you've coached private, public, and college. Let me see thumbs up or thumbs down on the shot. Yep. I'm not surprised. He wants a shot clock, so we should have asked him about that. But
Next time we interview a coach, maybe that's a question we ask.
Yeah.
Moving forward, because it is a good one, and I think it might be coming.
Yeah,
change
I think it
is
is.
part of the game, and
Yeah.
we're not against that. But I think we tend to sound like old guys a lot, and I think we should have a segment that is the old head or old guys
Yeah,
section
yeah.
because we kind of slip into it very easily.
we do.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Radford, for your feedback. And she
Also, hey, Al Peterson from Hayfield.
yes, he did ask about that.
He did ask about it as well, and he gave a shout out to his home state of Iowa. He said they're doing a 35-second shot clock there, and it's going well. So
Yeah, good.
appreciate for him for chiming in as well.
Hey, Ms. Radford also made a comment about thanks to us for covering public school basketball when so many people transfer and reclass and all that. She said it's nice to have people that cover public school basketball. I said that's what we do.
That's all I
Yeah.
mean, people were asking why we're doing this.
Right.
It's not the money. We enjoy hanging out with each other, but it's really about promoting public school kids. It's what we believe in. And we just hope that, people enjoy it. We hope maybe there's a little bit of exposure for some kids, and that's what it's all about.
Kevin, Scott Bach Hansen, our friend from Cardinal Basketball and the
SBH.
Inadvertent Whistle podcast, he said, why don't we do an all-decade team? So it's kind of been a big thing on social media
Yeah, I
last
think
week.
I retweeted a couple
Yeah.
from Wakefield.
Everybody wants to do all-decade, this, that, plays of the decade, teams of the decade. I don't know, that's too much work for me. You want to take that on? Best players of the last 10 years?
No, that is too much. We did a couple years ago do the best players from each county, which I
We
thought
did
was
that,
fun.
yeah.
And maybe we can revisit that, but no, too many people, too many problems. Let other people rank their own kids, and thanks for the suggestion.
Scott, you can tweet out your all-decade team.
Yes.
How about the all-decade officiating crew?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I like that. I like that. Yeah, put it back on Scott.
Yes.
You guys.
All decade
And you know what?
officiating
And
crew.
I'd like people to chime in on their favorite official because I'm sure everyone has a comment. We should release the names of officials.
That's right.
Because I'm sure some parents and kids want to chime in.
All right, here we go. Oh, we had one more, I think, from a player. Kevin.
Yeah, with Landon Hawes. Landon Hawes' son, Jeff Hawes, at Potomac Falls. Landon having a great year for the Panthers of Potomac Falls. He wanted us to give mock predictions for the end of the regular season. Again, I am not touching that. I know you don't want to
I can't touch it because I'm still coaching.
Yeah, but there's no way. Of all these 6-4 teams, 7-3, there's no way I want to get into that. I mean, we could go over like who the top teams are now, but even in his own district, the Potomac district, you have 4 solid, 5 you probably could throw in there with Riverside, but Stonebridge right now, and Freedom, and Briar Woods, and Did I say Potomac
I
Falls?
can't believe you left Potomac Falls out.
Potomac Falls, and then Riverside. You got 5 teams right there.
Yeah.
I don't know who's hot.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't expect Riverside to do what they did last year, and here they are winning the district and the region. So I'm not touching that, but thank you, Landon, for sending that in.
Well, I think this is a great year because it's so unpredictable, and it's one of the things that makes basketball great. And you got tournament play. What we do know is we have 2 undefeated teams in the area.
Yeah.
Can anybody beat them? South County and Yorktown. We'll see.
It'll be
but-
interesting to me, and this is just a thought, and this is nothing against Yorktown, but Yorktown doesn't have the they do have a target on their back, whereas I don't think they always did. You know, I don't
Right.
think I know they haven't started off with this many games
Right.
undefeated. They've had some good teams in the past, but I think they got a target on their back, especially when you're undefeated. South County has a target as well, but they had a target for a while,
Right.
and they're kind of used to
Right.
it, so we'll be curious to see how Yorktown handles that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're back from the holidays. District tournament is playing. Intensity's going to
We got
pick
one
up.
more question.
Oh, we got one more question?
Post play.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That was from Justin Powers.
Yeah, Freedom High
At
School.
Freedom. He brought up the idea of what's happened to the post play in high school basketball. And,
That's a great
yeah,
question.
I guess, my response to that was, well, I think I responded to him and said, what's a post player? But throughout basketball, I think it starts at the top and filters down. In the NBA, there's not much post play anymore. Everybody plays on the perimeter. Everybody shoots threes.
Right.
I think that started when the 3-point line came in, whether you like it or not. And I saw something on social media recently that was quotes from like 3 Hall of Fame type coaches when the 3-point line first came in. You guys might have seen it, and they were all saying it's going to ruin the game and all this stuff. And now it's just such a huge part of the game.
And there are people who say it's ruined the game. There's old
Yeah,
people like us who
it's
say
changed it, no doubt.
Well, we were with Buck Willis, and he was
Yeah.
saying, I can't stand watching it. I
Right.
turn off the NBA right away.
Yeah, but I think that's when post play started to diminish or whatever, decrease, is when you put that arc in and everybody wants to go out there. And unbelievable players. I think of guys like Kevin Durant, when he was coming up, shooting threes at 6'11". But I think it's kind of gotten to the point now where if you do have someone who's really good in the post, you've got something that nobody else has. So,
I think, and we talk about the shot clock maybe being necessary or being a part of high school basketball. I think the post player still needs to be a part of high school basketball. I think when you have like a Daniel Deaver last year from
Right.
Marshall, who's now at Navy, he was a beast.
Yeah.
And when you have a good post player, every coach says, oh, we want to get the ball in the post, and he's so effective. And you saw it the other day with Makai Washington, how effective
Right.
he was around the basket.
Right.
There's just not that many of them. And are youth coaches not teaching post play? Probably are a little bit, but I think most kids want to play at every position, which is the nature of the game nowadays. But if you still do have an effective post player, you'll be a good high school basketball team.
well, here's the other thing: is nobody works on post defense because there's no post player. So if you have one, teams aren't real good at defending post play either. So interesting question from Justin Powers. So
Well, he's a post player, right? I think
yeah,
you're
I
a
think
post
so.
player.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, if you were 6'4" back
Right.
in the day, you were a post player.
When you came up in youth league, they immediately put
Yeah,
you around the basket.
big guy, big guys.
So good questions, and we can do that any episode. Obviously, we want to do content that people are interested in. So if you have ideas, we might shoot some of them down like the all-decade team. But throw out some ideas, and we'll certainly look to get to them in future episodes. So great to be here at Herndon High School. Thanks to Coach Quinlan for having us.
One last
in.
comment. I had the chance, and this is related to basketball a little bit, but I had a chance to coordinate a Special Olympics tournament yesterday at Riverside High School. I coach what's called the Unified Special Olympics team, which is a mix of Special Olympians and what we call partners who are regular ed student athletes. And I have a group at Riverside that means a lot to me. So we host a tournament, and there was high school teams from Fairfax and from Loudon, and it was really awesome. And one of the teams was from Wakefield High School. It was pretty cool. They were wearing Wakefield Warriors jerseys. So I
Nice.
texted Tony Bentley. They're wearing the Pro Look jerseys, and I was asking him a little bit about that. Just
Right.
a plug for this program. If you're, and I know we have coaches watch, if you have a unified basketball team at your school, or even just a regular Special Ed Olympics team, get a part of it. Invite them to practice one morning or one afternoon and go through drills with them, or invite them to the game. It doesn't take a whole lot of your time, but I'm telling you what, I have practice with our team in the morning, and no matter how I wake up that morning, whether I'm tired, or good mood, bad mood, whatever happens after that practice, is all gravy to me. I have a great day. I got a smile on my face. Those kids mean a lot to me and to the people that work with them at Riverside. So if you have that chance, any school, ask around. Just have them come to one of your practices and work with them for a half hour, invite them to the game. They'll love it, and I'm sure you'll get a lot out of it. So just a quick plug. I know Fred Priester does that at Oakton. I'm sure some other coaches out there I don't know about do it as well, but just something cool, quick aside that
Yep, good stuff. Again, thanks Kevin Quinlan for having us out today. And
See you next week.
See you next week.